President and CEO of Car Research, XRM, and Tammy LeBleu is
Hello.
with us as well. She's actually the star of this session that we're going to have today. It's interesting, I was in Vegas about almost a year ago, and I was going to be speaking there for an event, and I heard that there was a lady on the agenda who had made $1 million selling cars in the last 3 years. And I said to Kurt, one of my vice presidents, I said, man, I want to meet that lady. You know, I started selling cars in 1979, 20-year-old kid. I rode my bicycle to the back of the dealership. I heard you got a free car. And my two favorite words in the English language were yes and free. So it qualified, you know, free car. And so I showed up at the dealership scared to death, went on the showroom floor, filled out that app, and it took me about a minute because I didn't have much to write on there, right? Because I'd gone straight from high school, couldn't afford to go to college. I was married, had a little baby girl at the house, was broke, no car was broke down. I just needed a job, a job, right? So this guy comes out, puts me through this really intense interview, lasted about 30 seconds, said you're hired. Man, I was excited, you know, I was on board just like that. And I got an office, a telephone. It was unbelievable. I went from, you know, broke, no car, riding my bicycle, to a professional with a real live office with a desk and chair, and business cards showed up in a minute, and I was a sales professional selling Chevrolets in South Texas. Man, it was the greatest moment of my life. I managed to survive for 6 months until I quit, because the only thing they taught me is here's an appraisal pad, here's a buyer's order, go grab an up. Well, hell, I didn't even know what an up was, right? But I very quickly found out what the down was, and the down was if you didn't sell a car, you didn't get a check. And man, that was a hard down for me, right? And I wasn't selling enough cars, even though, man, it was exciting when a customer finally says yes and you get that commission voucher, so I was all pumped and ready, but I failed. 6 months later, I quit, went to Brazoria County Boys Club, be program director, making $1,200 a month. But you got to understand, I grew up in the projects, never met my dad. My mom died 7 years ago, never had her driver's license. $1,200 a month. Now I was back on my bicycle because I had to turn in that chocolate brown Citation that I got as the demo, right? It was the ugliest car in the world, but the price was right, and I was rolling. Well, the second time I came back, because Mr. Martin, the dealer, saw my picture in the paper, and I'd formed a baseball league, and I was doing things for these kids, and he came out and said, son, we need you to come back and sell cars. And this time, they taught me the business. And I learned how to really sell cars. Not really sell cars, I learned how to build a database, and we did it all by hand. In 1980, 1981, ladies and gentlemen, there were no up buses. Interest rates were 26%, man. I mean, the market was a mess in America. I mean, we had a huge recession going on. Reaganomics hadn't hit yet. And man, but I learned how from Mario was selling 30 cars a month, the whole dealership's only selling 60. And the other 5 of us trying to sell 4, 5, 6, 8, maybe 10 on a great month. I learned how to do what Mario did, and I became the #1 sales guy. My biggest month was 47 cars. That was my biggest month. And ladies and gentlemen, I went from broke to being the big dog on the hill. Man, it was awesome. I did learn deaf sign language. I learned how to talk to deaf people, and that helped me get, that helped. I got me a little niche market going on with the deaf folks. And then the deaf folks had a mom and a dad and a brother and said, I wasn't praying, I was serving them, right? I was just making a little money. So I heard about Tammy, and I'm in Vegas. I said, I want to meet a lady that, because I never made $1 million. Anybody in the room ever made $1 million selling cars in 3 years? Raise your hand. Anybody qualify for that, man? So to me, she's a celebrity. She can make $1 million selling cars. And I've since then seen her W-2s. In fact, I had Kurt do a little investigation because I wanted to make sure the story we're telling is the truth, right? And it really is the truth. I mean, this lady is amazing. So when I walked up to her and I said, I just want to meet you, and I gave her my card, she looked down, she says, oh my God, I use your CRM tool. So it was the greatest moment of my life, right? I was going to meet a superstar, and then I met a superstar that actually used our tool, and it was unbelievable. And Tammy, what we want to talk about today is don't take an up, but make an up. And that's a powerful statement to make. And here's what I want to start, is the secret to success. And there's a lot of ways to define it. I know everybody in the room knows who that really smart, good-looking, handsome guy is with the all messed up hair, but he did make that statement, insanity, doing the same thing over and over. But he also says here that imagination is more important than knowledge. So what I'm going to ask everybody in the room to do today is open your mind up and really listen. Listen with your heart, because Tammy's she's going to share some things that are really going to come from her heart today. And the first time I heard her speak, it grabbed me, because I don't have a great story, right? I grew up in the projects. I don't have a college education. Yeah, I carried the Olympic torch in '96 through downtown Houston. I got to light Neil Armstrong's torch, and that was a great honor, because I give it to the community, and I speak to kids about staying off of drugs and out of gangs, and I believe in that with all of my heart. But she has a different story than I, and her story is compelling, So I'm going to ask you please to open up your mind and your heart and really listen, open up your imagination. And you know, a lot of people say, man, work hard. Hard work is the key to winning. And I do believe in hard work. I believe we got to care, work hard, and have a great attitude. Those are 3 key ingredients. But with Tammy, she believes in working smart. And smart work, when you match it up with hard work, it's an unbelievable match when you stick the two together. So what is Tammy's secret? Well, Tammy's got a few secrets, and the first secret she's going to share is before she had her great success in the car business, she had sold cars for 3 years. And she was like me. Now, I made it 6 months, you made it 3 years, but she was an average salesperson. You know, she was selling 8, 10 on a big month. You do sell 12, 15, and she'd show up late, and she wasn't exactly, you know, the perfect scholarly salesperson, right? And then something traumatic happened in Tammy's life. Tammy, what happened?
I was a nurse. Went to college. I was homecoming queen, guys. I had a great life. My family raised me in a Baptist church, and grew up to know and love the Lord with all my heart. But at some point in my life, I walked away. And I was a nurse. And through nursing, I became very addicted to pain pills. On a journey through nursing and not being able to do nursing anymore, I came to the car business because someone at Lexus gave me a job. And like Pat says, I was always producing, and I was always leading people. It wasn't always the great place to lead them, but I was in the huddle or didn't show up for work. So I'm the example of what can happen to somebody if you can actually get this salesperson to refocus and change their life. Because I'm going to tell you, these past 4.5 years back home have changed mine. But I would sell 15, 18 was the most cars that I'd ever sold, just in and out of the car business. A salesperson that you should definitely fire, not successful in any form, and always in and out of trouble because I had to feed my habit of pain pills. At some point, you know, in 2006, I got arrested. And this is hard to stand up here in a room of people like you guys and tell you, but I went to prison. And there came a point in that time in my life when I said, I don't want to live this life anymore. I don't want to be that person anymore. My son deserves better than that. I'm a single parent. And I had a moment in my life where I decided that I was going to change. And I did. I did things in prison. And I mean, we've never even, you know, as I speak, I share more of my story, but I had 16 girls get their GED. I became a trustee. I truly gave my life back to God. And through that, judges and wardens moved and literally got me out of jail 18 months early. I was in work release, and I'll just tell you how God has moved through my life, because when I was in work release, I was waiting tables in a restaurant. I was the top earner out of 100 women in a work release program. William Sparks, I work for the Orr Group, best automotive group there is. Keith Orr's amazing, Stephen Bell.
There might be some people in here that would disagree with you about that.
No, but they're...
Especially you dealers, right?
They're great people. They knew my history. I worked for them 2004, 2005, 2006 until I was arrested, so they knew my history. So God was working in my life this whole time. I was waiting tables, and a man named Tiny, you met him in Dallas, says, Tammy, you know, I just want to know if you would come talk to me about selling cars. And I said, well, Tiny, you know, I can't. I'm incarcerated, and this is what's going on for me. The next morning, William Sparks, I don't know how many of you know him, he showed up. He's one of the owners of the stores that I worked for. And through him, he communicated with Stephen Bell what I was doing while I was gone, because I had truly changed. And anyone that knew that I had, there had been a change in my life. So Stephen says, you can come back to work if you keep it between the ditches. So they let me go home. And December the 26th of 2009 was my first week on the floor. And I hit the floor running. I sold 6 cars. But the coolest thing in the world was my CRM. When I came back, I've been home 4.5 years.
Well, hold on, you're jumping ahead of me. I'm going to get you there in just a second.
Okay.
Now, she came back to work and she averaged 37 cars a month. Her biggest month was 47 and a half cars. Her goal was to sell 400 cars.
Right.
She became the #2 Nissan salesperson in America. Now, when we say this, don't take it up, make it up, what does it actually mean?
Well, you have to create. I mean, you have to create business. For me, when I came home, I came back to the place where I lived. My family makes up 1/3 of Bossier Parish Sheriff's Department.
Which a population of how many?
65,000.
Small town.
65,000. So I knew that I had to let everybody know where I was at. I went into, which I love car research, I'll tell you that. I had to sit down and learn my customer base from across the street. When we were over there, we didn't have rentals, we didn't have car research, we didn't have any of our programs, so all my customers had been integrated. So the first thing that I did every day was call my customers and say, I'm back. I'm back at Orr Nissan, come in and see me. And I started to set appointments. And I lived off an appointment culture. I'm 40-something years old. I don't want to be on the lot beating it with all these guys that are waiting on the up bus, and they're going to starve to death. So I sat at my desk, and I captured my CRM, and I captured the customers in there.
So what was your everyday like? What were your activities? So you came to work, and you drank a cup of coffee, grabbed the newspaper, read it for a while, joined a couple of huddles, and complained about everything, right?
Yeah.
Then it was lunchtime. You came back from lunchtime. Then you got to surf on the internet for a little while, right? And then a couple of more huddles, and we're waiting on the miracle up. Was that your day?
No, that's not my day. That was not my day.
How did you come to work?
Every morning, turn on my computer, make 100 phone calls. My goal was
100. Wait, did you say 100?
100.
100. Your goal every day was 100.
100 phone calls. Will get me 10 appointments. And 10 appointments, you'll have 3 to 4 show up, and in the end, my shows are 80% closed all day long. So that was unbelievable. And I knew that if I had overbooked like Southwest Airlines and had appointments, I knew what it took to get there. And I'm going to tell you, January, February, March, I sold 18, 24, 26, and so my 5th month on the floor, I sold 26 and a half cars. I was #1 in the Orr group, and everybody was talking about it, and it never went under 30 again. So it was just amazing, and it was all from cultivating my customers in my CRM and just reaching out through social media and Facebook, and I really tried to brand myself, because believe it or not, I use my story. I mean, if anything about what my life has been like, it's got to be a testimony to what God's done in my life, guys. I mean, that's what this is about.
But see, she keeps saying God, and I believe in God. And I go to Lakewood, and that guy's a pretty cool guy that preaches on TV. But, you know, I think that you took your talents and your abilities that you already had, and you did something with it, right? Because you could have said, I'm a loser, and I got a son, and I'm never going to be anything in life, and you could have gone down that path, but you chose to take control of your life and come back to work. You know, I ran stores for 16 years, and I'll tell you, man, I was looking for Tammy everywhere, man. I was trying to find somebody who had a purpose and a cause and a reason, and they had something to prove to themselves and to the entire world. And in your mind and heart, what you want to do is prove to your son, to everyone else, but most importantly to Tammy, that I can take control of my destiny.
That's right.
That's what you did when you came in, right?
That's right.
And you began to contact everyone, talk to all your friends, play every benefit card that you possibly had. And in those 100 phone calls, what would you say and what would you do when you'd call these people?
I would tell them, this is Tammy LeBleu, do you remember me? And, you know, my customers have always loved me, so that was a positive. And a lot of my customers in Bossier Parish, again, my family my grandfather was the baby of 12 children, my mother the baby of 8. It's a large community that has a lot of family members in it, so I would invite them in. My big thing, and it was my verbiage, if you'll come in and do a payment review and a test drive with me, I may be able to improve your financing conditions today. What time can you be here? I didn't care about selling the car. I wanted to set the appointment, because if I set the appointment and they showed up, 80% they were buying when they left. That was just
he's trying to write that down. Can you say that again? Would y'all like to hear that part again?
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay.
That was my little line. It said, this is Tammy LeBleu. I'm with Orr Nissan, and they generally knew me. I said, if you'll come in and do a payment review and a test drive, it's possible that I can improve your financing conditions. What time can you be here? And most people say, really? What do you mean by that? Well, if you've paid Nissan correctly, I may be able to lower your payment, lower your interest rate, or you can upgrade your automobile and possibly keep your payment in a reasonable range. What time can you be here? I just go for the buy. You have to go for the appointment. It has to be a money call. You can't not make a money call. I mean, and you can't be scared. Your salespeople are scared to reach out and say, will you come buy a car? If I get my numbers right, are you going to buy? And what time can you be here? I mean, they can't put me in jail for calling on the telephone.
You'd already been there.
I'd already been in
Scared
jail.
of jail.
Wasn't scared to go back to jail. I just needed to ask customers to come and buy.
Right.
And what I found was so gratifying, and I'll tell you this story. Kurt loves this story. The last month, well, I was only back on the floor 2 years before they moved me to management, and I now have 2 stores. But December, and they set a goal for me. Nissan and Keith Orr wanted me to sell 400 cars. Well, I don't know how many of you have ever done that before, but that was hard. So December the 1st of 2011, guys, I needed 47 and a half cars for the 400 and a half. The most I'd ever sold was 40. So I knew I was doing some knee time and some praying, and literally had people praying for me.
Sounds like you might have been working too.
I was working. And that's another thing. I was working when I was there. But I will tell you this. The last day of the year, Saturday the 31st, is my son's birthday. He is in San Antonio working for an oil company that my brother owns. And I'll never forget this, because if you ever knew God was in my life, I knew this day. I mean, I've always known that. I knew this day. So I came in Saturday morning. Joseph's like, Pawpaw's here. You need to come on. You're going to miss my birthday. I said, Joseph, I have worked for this my entire life. I mean, I had Nissan calling the front desk. They were keeping tabs. You know, have you reached it? Have you done it? So it was dead. It's
so
New Year's Eve.
You sort of reached celebrity status, it sounds like right now. With Nissan, right?
With Nissan, yes, sir. Yeah. But they're pretty good to me. And but anyway, so it's like 9 o'clock. I sold one car off an appointment. What do you think I did that month, knowing I had to have 47.5 units? Guys, I had 8 and 10 appointments every single day. And this Saturday, I had 8 appointments booked. At 2 o'clock, only one appointment had showed. I walked out back. Joseph's griping. He wants me to come. And I said a prayer. And I said, Lord, if I don't get it, this has been the best year of my life. I walked back inside. I had 5 showed, and I sold 5.5 units. I sold my 4.5 cars, and let me tell you, my 400.5 units, and I was on the way to San Antonio at 5 o'clock. The coolest thing about this, guys, do you know how many of those customers had only been in their automobiles a year? And because I called them and sold them and said, I'm going for my 400, come be a part of it, they were trading their cars after being in them 6 months, 9 months, just to participate for me. It was about branding me and letting them be involved in my life and my success, because everyone in the community knew where I had been, where I was going, and what I had accomplished.
What did you do with 5 customers at the same time? I mean, I'm trying to picture this. How did you do that?
That last
sales
month,
offices were you using it?
4. I had 4 and one in the lobby.
Mm-hmm. 4 sales offices at one time.
I had 4 pencils at one time that day.
4 customers, 4 pencils at the same time.
At the same time.
And just you.
Just me. Well, and Chelsea. I had an assistant. I had a little. She the last 3 months she came in and she would answer my phone calls, gas up the car, put the plates on. And this particular day, I would go in with the pencil. I'd close the customer after I did the demo, and then she finished it. That's Chelsea. That's her new cross cab, guys.
Okay.
Chelsea was Salesman of the Year after I retired from the floor.
Wait a minute. What did you do? You taught her to do what
I did.
What you do. Okay. So that's your success, can it be duplicated? So
absolutely.
Tell the Chelsea story. How'd that all work?
The Chelsea Taylor story is another God moment in my life. She came to work in June. Stephen Bell, they wanted me to have an assistant because I did have days where I had 8 and 9 and 10 appointments, and it was difficult. Not all salespeople have the ability to sit a customer down and say, please don't be offended, this customer's here too, but I'm going to get you taken care of, get you in and out of here in 45 minutes. Do you trust me? They would say yes. So Chelsea came, and she showed up 6 days in a row, and I was so busy, I just said, come on. So her first day was...
Has she ever sold cars?
Never sold cars. She's 25 years old.
Okay.
Never sold cars in her life.
What's the most money she ever made before she came to work with you?
$60,000 maybe with her mom. Maybe 30. I mean, I don't even know if it was that much, Pat.
Okay, what's her biggest month? How much money she made?
She made $165 last year.
$65,000.
25 years old. Just bought $50,000 cross cabriolet. Yeah. Chelsea Taylor. You ought to see that thing on a pencil. Sign right here. Yes, absolutely.
And so
She's awesome.
Tell us how did she evolve? How did that happen? You said, let me show you how to do what I've done.
Yeah, well, in the beginning, she was just an assistant to make sure I got the 400. That was a big deal for them, that I hit the 4.
Okay.
And so when Stephen came in October and made this announcement that Tammy's coming off the floor, we were moving Chelsea to my position, so in my office. And she was scared because she had never sold before. So I said, I'm going to teach you how to do what I did. And her thing, which I really didn't have to show that much, because one of the first things I required her to do was to learn car research. That was my Bible. I use it every day. And that was my roadmap to what I did every day.
You're not supposed to be naming the company.
I'm sorry. It's my CRM
She meant
company.
CRM is what she meant to say, ladies and gentlemen. We're not here to sell you on anything but her and what she does. So let me ask you this. Do you have any unique or special talents? You're laughing like you don't believe that, sir. That every other salesperson couldn't develop. I mean, what's special about you?
Kurt sent me that question, and I have to tell you, my girls laughed.
Yeah.
Because I know the answer is supposed to be no. Anybody can do this because they can, guys. But my girls say that I do have some special talents. And I know one is my energy. Number 2 is my faith in God. Number 3 is just what I believe is that if I give my customer a fair deal, I don't knock their head off, and I just take care of them, that they're going to continue to buy from me. I want a customer signing up 36, 48, 60 months. I don't want them $10,000 buried in a deal. I want them to repeat buy and come back. I'm going to be long-term successful, and I'm going to stay in the same spot. But I will tell you that if I can come back and do what I did, anyone can do it. Anyone can do it.
So you say girls. How many girls do you have now?
I have 8 now.
Okay. 8. So at the time you had 5.
5.
Right? And on the other side of the shoulder floor, there were 16 guys.
All
Picture
men.
that, her and 5 girls and 16 guys. So what happened? How were the numbers?
It's funny. I love this story.
5 ladies, 16 guys.
Well, you already have haters because all these men got their tails every month for 2 years.
Us men are not that way,
Yes,
right,
you
guys?
are. I had the back of my office had 34 plaques behind me, and customers would
Wait a
go.
minute, how many months in a row did you win salesperson of the month?
26.
26 months. At that point, I think I just give up. What about you guys, right? Say she can do it. So you have all these plaques, and how does that work out?
Well, you know, when a customer sits down, I think you should always give your salespeople a plaque because that's recognition. I had customers in other people's office going, should I be talking to her and Stephen? So that, you know, and at some point it did demotivate. So Stephen, when he announced coming off the floor, he wanted me to create a team, and he wanted me to teach 5 people to do what I do and just be extension of me. The idea is to duplicate me 5 times. Now, how many of you thinks that can be done? Well, it can. Because my first month as the manager with my 5 girls, we sold 82 cars. And the second month we sold 89. And the third month we sold 98 with 5 girls.
How many cars were these 16 guys selling, though? Surely they were selling like 250.
We sold 50% of the dealership's automobiles.
Wow, can we give it up? I mean, you got to, come on, guys. And so, special talents. Explain the numbers. You said you believed in making 100 calls per day. That's something I preach and teach everywhere I go. Because that's what I live by. That's what I learned. Do you remember the days? Was anybody in the car business in the 80s? Anybody else? Do you remember our CRM tool? It was the telephone book. Do you remember the telephone book, right? And they would have us call the A's and then the B's and the C's. You remember that? They had me calling the telephone book because we didn't have CRM tools in those days. And then we had the card systems, and we did it all by hand. Remember that? The birthday cards. I see some heads moving. We did that, right? We believed in that. The problem is our salespeople today, we'll talk about that in just a minute, and what has happened. But so 100 calls you wanted to make, and how many appointments did you want to set a day?
10.
Where'd you go? 10. You tried to set
10
a day. Well, the last number I heard was 2. Isn't that the number we always hear? 2 appointments keeps the doctor away. You wanted 10 appointments off of 100 calls. And how many of those 10 appointments would show? I think you shared a moment ago.
3 to 5.
3 to 5.
Yeah.
And how many of them would you close and sell?
80%.
80%. Because these were people you had relationships with.
Absolutely.
Friends. You
Absolutely.
knew them.
Some
Family
of them.
members.
Some of them. Previous owners, previous customers.
Right. Okay.
That's right.
Anything else about that
Well,
that's important to you?
my thing is it was more about the appointment. And I tell Yvonne and Chelsea this all the time. Don't worry about selling the car. Worry about getting me that appointment. If you get me that showed appointment, I'm going to close that car deal. And I will. So that's what's important. And I think that we missed the boat on that. If you can fill your dealership with a bunch of Tammy LeBleu appointments, how many do you think my team's going to sell 100 cars? Well, they're going to. I mean, we've never sold 100. We've missed it by 2. But we put up in March 92 cars for $272,000 worth of variable gross. So that's job security. And that's
that
huge.
was March of 2010 or 11?
That was 2014.
Okay, I knew
Yeah.
that. Just wanted to
That
confirm.
just happened. Yeah.
So that's fresh.
So,
you
that's
guys
fresh.
are still kicking some serious.
We're still kicking.
But-
And if you get a chance, go YouTube, Smart Car Girls. There's 7 episodes of it, and it's my team and my girls, and they've been with me forever. That's another thing. You've got to keep your salespeople. They got to believe in you. They got to, they got to stay with you. And my girls, I don't have to look back. They're coming behind me. I know they're right behind me, and that's a big deal. Sir, you can go to YouTube. It's called Smart Car Girl Videos. Like Lonnie produces it. It's awesome. When we went down this journey and we kept continuing to be successful, we just wanted to share that with everybody because it's been really neat.
I've met some of our girls, and they all have that same energy that Tammy LeBleu has. I think you can feel it, sense it, and see it just with her sitting down. She may be sitting down, but something inside of her is standing up. You get a picture of that, right? So is it possible to have a team of salespeople where they're all selling more than 20 cars a month consistently?
Absolutely. Every month.
Share the numbers.
Share the numbers. 92, 98, my girls tell. Chelsea averages 30, Yvonne averages 25. Yvonne actually suffering from cancer right now. Y'all pray for her, please. She's one of my Smart Car Girls that puts up 25 every month without looking. She was a 6-car girl when I got her. Chelsea had never sold cars. Hillary was selling 12. Linda Pippin sells 20. Terry sells 20. These women have never sold cars in their life. It's about teaching them the process, teaching them the road to the sale, because we can't deviate from the road to the sale. The road to the sale is important. And when I go in to talk to a customer now, I'm an active manager. I'm very involved. I'm greeting the customer immediately. Because if you go to my website too, it says Ask Tammy LeBleu. Well, I have a lot of those questions come through and people come in asking for me. And so that's how we drive people into the market. We capitalize on social media. And our website, we have no third-party lead providers. The auto trader that comes to our store goes to the used car department. We create everything off our website and we capture it there. And that's how you're really looking at your numbers.
Will salespeople do this on their own without daily accountability and inspiration? Can you get to a point to where they just kind of operate?
No.
So how do you have daily accountability? What do you do now as a manager?
A CRM, my dashboard on my CRM tells me what's going on. I can look at it at any time of the day. It's live time. Tell me who's in the showroom, who's got their phone calls out, whose appointments have showed, how many appointments have been booked. And then I also have, through my CRM, we have adapted and married its processes and we put it into place. And because my team has been so successful with it, the owner says we're going to adapt these processes and marry them, and the whole store's going to it. So what we did in January, and this is something that I think all dealers could learn from, we are now process-oriented, appointment-driven. A salesperson can either red light or green light every day. So we have defined their job. The way you red light or green light, your green light is 2 showed appointments, naturally sell a car, 40 phone calls, and those are the only ways you can get a green light. So if you don't get a green light and you're 80% red, you don't get all of your pay. So that's a big deal. So we are definitely paying people for performance. I didn't pay them to come sit in a huddle and complain about everybody. I don't pay them to be sitting out there. We're here for many hours every week, and it's here to be successful, to make money for our families. It has been a journey and a joy for me. I can't even begin to tell you what coming home and doing that has done in my life. It's been life-changing, for sure.
Wow. Wow. There are 5 key points that I feel, after really studying Tammy and getting to know her, that are key to the ingredients of her leadership. For some reason, the slide decided to go off to the side, but we can see these. Vision. What do you do to provide vision? Do you think that's your responsibility for these 8 girls you have now?
100%. Where are they going to get it from?
Right.
They have to know what my vision is.
And what do you tell them? You have a goal of 100 cars.
100 units for $250,000 variable gross consistently every month from my team is my vision.
And do you break down an individual goal for
Absolutely. I do a one-on-one. I have them set their own goals, and I do one-on-ones every day if needed to. I can always tell. My team prays together. I need to know what makes them tick. I need to know what's going on in their life right now. For Chelsea, what makes her tick is a $50,000 cross cabriolet. I mean, I have a son. That's what makes me tick. Sharing my story is another thing that's important to me. So my girls know my story, and we share it with customers, and they're huge fans. My girls are huge fans. So yes. They know my vision.
How often do you train? How important
every day.
is training?
I train every day.
Do you have a set schedule?
We usually come in at 10:30 for our first training session, and it's key. You have to learn the road to the sale, like the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, from 0 to 13, and know it. And know how to take them down.
Are you insinuating that car people are all alcoholics with that statement?
No.
I'm just kidding. So training is important, right?
Absolutely.
And you train on the road to the sale, and you hold them accountable to the road to the sale because you think that's really important, right? Process. I mean, how important is the process? And do you have your own process that's for you and your 8 girls specific?
Yes.
If so, can you share some insights on that?
Our processes are use our CRM. We come in daily. We attempt to set appointments. The process is definitely logging all of our customers. We want to sell to our repeats, to be-backs, to friends, family, relatives. We want to have branded ourselves in the market so much that anytime anybody's in the market for a car, they think of Tammy LeBleu, they think of my girls, and that's the only place they go. And we've been very successful with that. So we have a strict process in place for that.
Okay. Accountability. How can you tell when they're off track and when they're not following the process?
Numbers. Your numbers. Their phone calls aren't there. If I look during the day at 4 o'clock and Chelsea's got 3 phone calls and she's been fighting on the phone with Tyler, and I know she's going to see this video, I know. Chelsea, how are you going to get your car today?
Chelsea, you heard that, right?
Yeah. But how are you going to sell your car today? So you can tell. You know if they're not. Now, Pat, they just love Pat because we used to make 40 phone calls, and after Pat talked to me, we do 100 a day. The team. So I really want the phone calls to be real, and like I told you earlier, I want it to be a money call. That's important. If that customer, that salesperson, if she's like, this is Chelsea, just wanted to say hi, see how everything's going, no. My name's Chelsea Taylor. Just checking on you. Wanted to know if you wanted to come into a test drive and a payment review. Hadn't seen you in a while. I mean, you've got to ask for the buy or the appointment. One of the two. It's got to be a money call.
So is motivation your responsibility to
Absolutely.
help create that belief and that passion?
Sure.
So how do you motivate them?
I motivate by sharing my story. I motivate by we pray together. I share their lives. They share their story with me. I share their passion, their vision. What they want for their lives, I want for their lives. Because if they achieve their dreams and goals, what do you think happens to me? The most important, the best thing in the world that happened to me the year after I was off the floor and a manager, Chelsea Taylor was salesperson of the year. That was better than when I got it. Because I taught her. That was a bigger accomplishment for me than when I won. You can never take that from me, and I love that.
You know, what I see in Tammy, I remember when I was that 20-year-old kid at the Brazoria County Boys Club. I never met my dad, and I grew up in poverty. I'm making $1,200 a month, and I think I'm living the American dream. And Leo Martin, his name was on the sign, Leo Martin Chevrolet. He came to the Boys Club, and he said, he called me Patty. Please, no one else please call me Patty. He did. He goes, Patty, he said, what are you doing? I said, Mr. Martin, I'm here. I'm helping these kids, and I got this baseball league going. And he said, son, I want you to come back to the dealership. And he said this phrase to me. He said, if I give you a fish, I feed you for a day. If I teach you to fish, I feed you for a lifetime.
That's awesome.
And he said, I'm going to get you to come back, and we're going to teach you the car business. Because, son, do you know how much money you can make? And I said, sir, I'm making $1,200 a month. And you can laugh if you want, but to me, guys, ladies and gentlemen, that was a lot of money, honest to God. He says, son, do you realize that you can make $50,000 a year? And I, 50,000, how much is that a month? Jeez, that's like over 4,000 a month. You can see the first time for the first 6 months, there was no vision, there was no goal setting, there was no dreaming. Now I've made 50,000 in 1 month in the car business. I never dreamed that. I never knew I'd run a Mercedes and BMW store and drive an E55 and live in $1 million house and go to Marbella, Spain and get a $20 a Crown and Coke paid for by Mercedes Benz. I never dreamed that. Are you kidding? I grew up in the red brick projects. But see, Tammy has become to her girls what Mr. Martin and his two sons, Dusty and Gary, became to me. They became my mentor, and they actually cared about me, and they taught me the trade at the highest levels, but then they held me accountable. They painted vision, they created passion. And I see that in you. It exemplifies. Now we had a sound check, bro. Can I have your microphone, if you don't mind? I'm going to play a short little video that I found that was amazing. Actually, Kurt found it, shared it with me. And if you can get that microphone, I'm going to lay it over here on the computer. And it's about 3 minutes long, and I think it's worth the time because it exemplifies actually what we're actually talking about today. So here we go. Let's see if we can make this run. Uh-oh. Maybe we can't. Let's see. See if we get the sound to work. Unbelievable. Well, we'll try that again. We may not be able to share the video. We don't have any sound. Okay, we're going to move back away from that. In this video, I'll tell you the story. This coach got one of the key players on the team to actually go down on all fours, you can see, and he got a 160-pound young lad to get on his back, and he blindfolded the kid. And he said, I want you to do the death crawl for 20 yards. So at first the kid's crawling, the coach is standing saying you can come on and do it, and he's straining, and and then he got down in his face and he's screaming, you can do it, come on, you can make it, just another yard, one more yard, one more yard. And at the end of the day, the kid actually death crawled 100 yards before he collapsed on the other side of the goal line. He had no idea he had made it 100 yards. Now he would have never made it without that type of encouragement. And that coach telling him, you can do it, you can do it. And Tammy really exemplifies that. That's what I see in Tammy all the time. I remember Henry Ford said this, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And what you do a great job, first of all, you did it yourself. So it's one thing to tell somebody how to do it. It's another thing to do it. And you're that living example. And when I see Tammy, I see her as that living example of it's possible, and let me show you how you do it. But what you do is you get them to invest their time, not spend their time. See, the average salesperson in the U.S. spends 9.5 hours a day at the dealership, but only works 1 hour and 45 minutes a day of productive activity. So what Tammy does is she actually pushes the performance of 8 young ladies every day to come to work, to make those 100 phone calls and to earn the right to get the money. And so when we start investing this time, we don't have time for huddles, complaining, waiting on the up bus. Are they waiters? We believe waiters belong in restaurants, waiting tables. Restaurants are where waiters ought to be, but yet our salespeople are waiters. And are your salespeople not waiters, right?
We're not waiters.
They say there's 3 types of people in the world. People that watch things happen, people that make things happen, people that wonder, what the hell happened? So you're the people that make things happen every single day.
That's
And
right.
do you ever have that time in the month, though, where you're exhausted or tired, you feel like you're not getting performance? And if
Absolutely.
you do, how do you push their efforts then? Or discouragement, customers come in, they don't buy, can't get to their number, they're buried, they got bad credit, all those typical bumps we all have when we're selling cars. How do you overcome that mentally with your people?
You have to get in front of them, and you have to tell them, I tell mine I love them, and I said next car deal. Put that one behind you. Can't do anything about it. We can do something about it right now. We can get another customer in here, set another appointment, that will say yes. So you just have to move on, because you will have those.
So you said you believe investing time in database of customers, repeats, referrals, hunting down B-backs. You think that's the best investment. It's like putting money in a 401k. You know they're going to come back, right?
That's
Instead
right.
of going and spending that money. Well, most people in the car business don't seem to know the numbers. Just in case you don't, we'd like to share. First time ups close at an average of 9%. Internet leads around 8+%. B-backs close at 67, repeats at 60, and referrals at 55%. So Tammy, these 3 numbers are what you're focused on.
Absolutely.
The high closing of B-backs, repeats, and referrals. Is that the truth?
That's right.
What percent of your business is B-backs, repeats, and referrals?
Oh, I can count every month at least 30 Tammy LeBleu deals. That if I was still on the floor, I'd still be selling 30 cars, because they're my customers that came in and asked for me that I pass to my salespeople. So I'd say percentage of the 92 or 98 that we average or sell, probably 70%, a large percentage. Because what we do is print pre-approvals, and we do my little verbiage, then we call them and invite them in for a payment right in the tester. You can roll somebody every 12 months. And we see a lot of our customers like that.
Now this stat is staggering. The U.S. average in the automotive business, 90% of customers never get contacted after they buy a car. The salespeople are back on the point, waiting, standing around, standing in huddles, doing what they do every day. She's proven it can be done in a small market, in a man's world, I guess we sometimes say the car business is. Even though the best salespeople I ever met in my life in the car business, I will have to say, have been women. And I hate to say it sounds prejudiced in y'all's favor, but y'all put your heart into it, and you care, and you love your customers with a passion, and they feel that. And you understand this principle right here that Carl Sewell said in his book, Customers for Life. He said the average customer is going to buy 12 vehicles in their lifetime. The average household has 3 vehicles. So every customer represents 36 potential sales. So if you don't get them right now, you still want to be their friend.
Absolutely.
They bought a Toyota this time, or a Honda instead of a Nissan. You still want to stay in contact,
Absolutely.
right? Because you're going to take another swing. Do you have any success stories like that? Customers, you missed them the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Well, share a story.
Customer, Miss Abear, she traded out of her Altima into a Camry, and she came in to cancel her product. And I told her, I said, I hate that we lost you. And she said, oh, Tammy, you know, I send calendars every month with a recipe on it, to this day, to my owner base. And so she says, I get your calendars, I just love it.
A recipe of love, or what is it?
And no, it's a recipe every month. They get a different recipe of, you know, what to cook. It's country
it's a dish
cooking.
with love built in. Country
yeah,
cooking.
with my picture and my phone number, and I'm still here. And so it just keeps my face in their mind. And I call them myself personally, too, every 60, 90 days. But anyway, so she was gone, and I called her 45 days out and just checked on her, sent her a card, and then in 6 months followed up with her, and then in 9 months I followed up with her, and her husband had passed away. So she wanted to downsize and go into something a little less, and the center had just changed body styles. And she came in, it was very emotional because her husband had died, and I knew both of them and sold them cars. And she came in and bought from me that time because of what she was going through. So absolutely. I mean, you keep in touch with your customers, you build a relationship, and you really, really care.
So she went Nissan, Toyota, back to Nissan.
Back to
Now
Nissan.
she's back in your family now.
Yeah,
that's
back in
good
our
stuff,
family.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's the challenge. Dale Carnegie says it takes 21 days to break a habit, 14 days to create a new one. So 35 days of hard work. So you got this one girl, she was selling 6 cars a month, right? You said?
Yes.
And she's selling how many now?
25 a month.
25. So did she have some bad habits?
She did have bad habits.
So how did you help her create better habits?
One of my first conversations with her, because she's 50 years old and she's a precious lady, was huddles in her office. And so I sat down and I said, well, Vaughn, if these people aren't trying to buy a car from you, they need to get up and move. This is a money-producing office. So, Yvonne and I went like this.
She's hardcore, isn't she? Do you sense that?
It's just the truth. So, you know, we're not up there to be friends and visit. I mean, if you build that through it, that's great. And my dealership is my family. But after 90 days, while Yvonne's selling 25 cars, Yvonne comes back to tell me that she loved me and she thanked me for what I did, because it got to a point where she got sent home for the day because it kept happening and happening and happening. And I would go in there, and there were people in there.
She's
and I'm
hardcore.
Like,
you sent her home?
I sent her home.
Well, how did that go? What did she not do something she's supposed to be doing?
Well, the GM was freaking out because she's worked for him as long as me. I'm like, you stay out of it. It's my business.
Oh,
and so
one of those.
One of those. And so then I walked over here, and she left, and Nathan called her and told her, you know, to chill out and to come back and talk to me. So she showed back up 2 hours later and told me I was right. And she said, I want to get this 100 with you. I'm on board. And we've never looked back. So
wow.
No more huddles in her office.
Wow, she doesn't play. So what Tammy believes is she actually believes in convincing her people to retire. And what that means is they can actually come to the dealership every day and hang out with friends and family. So, you know, the stranger is the fresh up, the one that closes at 9%, low gross, tough CSI. But friends and family means I'm actually hanging out with a bunch of people that love me and I love them. Her husband dies and I care because I sold her cars.
That's right.
So she trusts me.
Absolutely.
So grosses have to be a little better, right?
They are. Grosses are good. We're running $2,900 a copy right now.
Oh, okay. So you're not giving all these cars away to people you love, right?
Full prices.
So you don't do a $10,000 and a $500 loser. You just make sort of some consistent, good pricing.
I think a $2,500 deal is a fair deal. I think it keeps my customer in the market. I know I've been through some changes as a manager, so I've had a couple of big deals, and I decided it left a bad taste in my mouth. I mean, I get sometimes you're going to get them, but truly to stay true to myself and what I've done and what God's done in my life, I want my customer to know that I just went in there and I will ball up and try to get them the best deal that I can. And they're going to come back and buy from me again because of that. They know that.
So it's all about the database, friends and family, referrals.
100%.
How important are referrals to you? And do you actually ask your customers to send you referrals?
Yeah, we have a referral contest where we did, you know, referral contest, Tammy LeBleu, and it was through the holidays. So the customer that sent the most referrals in, because my customers do refer, is going to win $1,000. But the qualifier was a minimum of 5. So for the month of December, you had to send me a minimum of 5. And if you sent the one that got the most over and above that, I got $1,000.
You wanted one customer to send you 5 referrals? That
Absolutely. I've earned the right to ask for that.
This woman's crazy, isn't she? To actually expect one customer to send her 5 paying customers? Turn to somebody next to you and say she's crazy. No, don't do that. But that's insane. Did somebody send 5?
Absolutely. I got 7 was the most. But yeah, we had several compete with that. So it was fun because you know there's like 8 people that really make like $500 a month off of me. They do. They work at Walmart, Libby Glass, Firemaster, and they touch people. And so
referral,
here's
like
my card.
Network going on there, huh?
Yeah, you got to brand yourself.
So how do they do it at Walmart? I'm buying some toilet paper and paper towels, and they walk up and go, "Hey, do you need a car? I can help you."
I got somebody at Tammy LeBleu at Nissan. Yeah. And Brookshire's does a great job sending us folks too.
That's a grocery store, right?
Absolutely.
So you got people at the grocery store, people at
Walmart, people at Target,
See, here's
people
the problem.
at Best Buy.
Your
sold 12
salespeople.
Best Buy cars.
People at Best Buy sold 12 cars?
I've sold 12 cars to the Best Buy folks.
To the Best Buy folks. So see, our salespeople think that it's your job to give them ups. Does everybody in the room, can you say yes to that? Can I hear a good loud yes?
Yes.
Yes. And they don't understand that you built a beautiful dealership. You got cars, inventory, support. You got the whole package available for them. They also want you to give them ups. But in your case, you believe that it's your job to create an up.
It's my job. It's like a band. When a bar books a band, you have to know that they're going to bring a crowd. When I hire a salesperson, I want to know, what are you going to bring with you? How many people can you get to come in the store and buy a car from you?
But most of all the people you hired have never sold cars.
That's true, but they still know family, friends, relatives, the Benton Road Animal Hospital. I mean, they know people. And that's what you have to know, that they're going to bring people with them, and they can't be scared to ask people to come buy from them.
So the first year you came back and sold cars, how much money did you make?
$242,000.
$242,000, first year back selling cars out of prison. So she's in prison 3 years, gets out of prison, says, I want to change my life. I want to be a great wife. mother to my son, and I'm gonna turn my life around. I'm gonna focus on my business. I'm gonna come to work every day to work.
That's
Give
right.
me my database. Thank you. Now I got my database.
That's right.
So you weren't standing around the point waiting on ups.
Not one day.
So you believe waiters belong in restaurants, right?
That's right.
Not on the showroom floor.
Not on the
And so you make $242,000 selling like Mercedes Benz and BMWs, right? Nissans. Okay, just want to make sure we got the right. And then the second year, what did you make?
$278,000. I sold 400 Nissans.
I mean, can we give it up for that, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, that's what it's like. So what Tammy did can be done at every dealership in America. I think you heard the message today, and so what I want to do now is I want to open up the floor and let you ask questions. So some of you might have some good questions. Yes, sir, to you.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate you, Tammy. Your
Thank
story's
you.
great.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
What I'd like to know mostly, though, is we have 110 salespeople.
Wow.
Four of them are women. That's 5 stores.
Okay.
Four
I
of
was
them.
going to go,
Four of the
wow.
110 are women.
Okay.
And it's just a matter of time before the men chase them away. My question to you is, how soon, or how do you get women to come work as a car salesman?
Me. I recruit. After I found Chelsea, the next person that I brought in was Hillary Wormington. And you have to know these two girls are like my daughters now. Hillary was a customer. She was buying a car. And she clicked with me, and I had to close the car deal. And I said, what are you doing for a living? And she's like, well, I work at a bank. And she was making $1,200 a month. I said, Hillary, I want to change your life. And she goes, and she looked at me funny. So she came in for the interview. I hired her, and she's one of my top people today.
How many cars she sell?
Hillary is my new car delivery and my executive assistant when I'm at the new store now. So.
What kind of money is she making?
Hillary makes $3,500 and then is paid bonuses as we hit our numbers.
So you need a lady who's a superstar, and let that lady begin to recruit, it sounds
Well,
like.
it's funny. I just said that a second. Before I asked the question, I said to my wife, you need to start doing the interviews with the women. But more importantly, so you just told me about a $1,200 bank teller. How about the educated women? Do you have educated women, college grads that work for you?
Linda Pippins is
okay?
educated, Wavon is educated.
Is there anybody in Hershey, Pennsylvania like her? I mean, is it a waitress you might meet in a restaurant? Is it someone you might meet at church?
Yeah.
Is it someone you might... She has charisma. You can feel that from her, right? And if you can take that charisma and turn that into some... And you teach them the technical part. Because really, when it comes to phone scripting, I know you had that phrase. What's that phrase? Can you give it to us one more time?
If you will come in for a payment review and a test drive, it's possible I can improve your financing conditions. And I'll give you 10% off your service ticket today. I do that with my service people. So.
That's what you promise nothing.
Nothing.
Promise nothing.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
I mean, and if you walk to the back and it's a dead day, I'm like, Chelsea, there's 6 people in service, get back there. She'll walk to the back and go, if you want to do a payment reviving test drive, Tammy's going to give you 10% off your service ticket. Come on.
Gotcha.
I mean, they're going to come with us.
I have no idea when we're supposed to stop because I got so disoriented. So we may be way over our time or way under. I'm not sure. But are we over our time?
No, we're good.
Quarter after.
Quarter after? So we should roll?
Yeah, I think quarter after. They said 15 extra minutes.
15 extra minutes, so
Oh, yeah,
it's
we're
15
quarter
after.
after.
Hey, thank you all very much.